Tonight, one of the greatest and longest-running shows in American capitalism is coming to an end. In Omaha, Nebraska, a surprise from Warren Buffett. The 94-year-old spent nearly 3 hours answering questions from investors before revealing his plans to step down as Berkshire Hathaway's CEO. The company operates all kinds of businesses, including Dairy Queen, Benjamin Moore Paints, and Geico Insurance.
Warren Buffett just dropped a bombshell at the 2025 Berkshire Hathaway meeting that nobody saw coming. After 60 years at the helm of one of the world's most successful investment firms, the Oracle of Omaha announced his retirement. But that's not even the most shocking part. What he revealed about the stock market, the U.S. debt crisis, and what's coming next shocked Wall Street. And you won't believe who he picked as his successor or what he said about the economic storm brewing on the horizon. This year's Berkshire Hathaway Annual Meeting will go down in history as one of the most significant in the company's 6-decade journey. Warren Buffett, the legendary investor who turned a failing textile company into a $1.1 trillion empire, stepped up to the microphone with news that would change everything. Before we discuss his retirement announcement, let's talk about what he confessed regarding the markets and why investors need to pay attention right now. The S&P 500 fell 18% from its peak, and everyone's been waiting to hear what Buffett thinks. His response? Absolutely brutal honesty. What has happened in the last 45 days, 100 days? It's really nothing. Buffett stated bluntly. He stated that Berkshire Hathaway has dropped 50% 3 different times during his tenure, and nothing was fundamentally wrong with the company during any of those periods. But here's where it gets really interesting. While everyone expected Buffett to deploy his massive cash hoard during this correction, Berkshire's cash pile actually grew. It now sits at a staggering $347 billion, up from $334 billion at the start of 2025. That's right, the greatest investor of all time isn't buying the dip. What does he know that we don't? And then Buffett dropped this chilling warning that made everyone in the room go silent.
You will see a period certainly in the next 20 years, you'll see a period that will be in what somebody in the market described one time as a hair curler compared to anything you've seen before. I mean, that's just it.
Think about that for a second. The man who's seen the 1987 crash, the dot-com bubble, the 2008 financial crisis, and the COVID crash is telling us that what's coming will make all of those look like minor blips. He's essentially saying this recent 18% drop is child's play compared to what's ahead.
See whether your stocks are down 15% or not. You need to get a somewhat different investment philosophy because...
In other words, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen now because what's coming will test even the strongest stomachs. But the market volatility isn't happening in a vacuum, and Buffett pointed directly at what he believes is causing the chaos. And he didn't hold back on President Trump's trade policies.
Try and design a world where a few countries say, ha, 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 we've won. And other countries are envious. So trade should not be a weapon.
He went on to paint a vivid picture, comparing global trade to a potluck dinner where everyone brings their specialty dish. When you start charging admission fees, which is essentially what tariffs are, people bring less to the table. Some stop showing up entirely, and suddenly everyone's eating worse food at a higher cost. His warning became even more stark as he connected the dots between trade wars and global stability. With 8 countries possessing nuclear weapons, including some he called quite unstable, using trade as a weapon against both adversaries and allies isn't just economically foolish. It's downright dangerous. It's a big mistake when you have 7.5 billion people that don't like you very well, and you got 300 million that are crowing about how well they've done, he said with a gravity that silenced the room.
At a fiscal deficit now that is unsustainable. But you know that if something can't go on forever, it will end, to quote Herbert Stein, a famous economist. And we are doing something that is unsustainable. And it has the aspect to it that it gets uncontrollable to a certain point. I mean, essentially you just give up on it.
Let that sink in. Warren Buffett is suggesting the U.S. might eventually just give up on managing its debt. He warned that we're rapidly approaching the point where things become uncontrollable and compared it to experimenting with runaway inflation, something you definitely don't want to try because it feeds on itself. When asked about Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency attempting to cut spending, Buffett surprisingly supported the effort but admitted the harsh reality. If you tell me how in a democracy you go in and really change things, it's a job I don't want, but it's a job I think should be done. Even the Oracle of Omaha doesn't see a clear path out of this mess.
Time has arrived where Greg should become the chief executive officer of the company at year end.
Greg Abel, who oversees Berkshire's non-insurance businesses, didn't even know this was coming. Witnesses say his face showed absolute shock. Imagine finding out you're taking over from Warren Buffett in front of thousands of shareholders without any warning. But here's what really caught people's attention. Buffett announced he won't sell a single share of Berkshire stock, showing his complete confidence in Abel's leadership while also preventing what could have been a massive sell-off. This wasn't just a succession announcement, it was the end of an era. The man who built one of the world's most successful companies from scratch is stepping aside, but he's leaving behind some incredibly ominous warnings about what's coming next. So, what does all this mean for you and your portfolio? Buffett holding $347 billion in cash while warning about a hair curler market event suggests he's preparing for a massive buying opportunity, but he clearly doesn't think we're there yet. His criticism of using trade as a weapon indicates we're in for continued volatility as global relationships strain under tariff pressures, and his warning about the debt becoming uncontrollable suggests we could be facing potential currency crisis or serious inflation risks ahead. But here's what most people missed entirely. Buffett mentioned he almost spent $10 billion on some deal, but refused to elaborate when questioned later. This mysterious near purchase combined with his massive cash hoard suggests he's waiting for something very specific. What does the Oracle see that we don't? Buffett has navigated every major crisis for 60 years. He's seen governments print money like it's going out of style, watched markets crash spectacularly, and witnessed empires fall. Warren Buffett's 2025 confession wasn't just about stepping down. It was a masterclass in reading the economic tea leaves. Between his warnings about market volatility, trade wars, unsustainable debt, and his massive cash position, he's painted a crystal clear picture. Turbulent times are ahead, but for prepared investors, the opportunities will be absolutely extraordinary. The question is, are you actually listening? Remember, this isn't about creating fear. It's about being prepared. As Buffett himself says, the key is having the right temperament and checking your emotions at the door. The greatest opportunities often come during the greatest chaos, and if Buffett's predictions are right, we're about to see chaos like never before. What's your take on Buffett's warnings? Are you preparing for the hair curler event he's predicting? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more market insights as this incredible story continues to evolve. Until next time, invest wisely and remember, be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. Especially when Warren Buffett is holding $347 billion in cash and warning about what's coming next.